shop ownership. He's the owner of HQ Barbershop in Madison, Wisconsin. He's known for consistency, client experience, and leadership. Nationally recognized, most recent winner of the Barber Grammy Awards, Rookie of the Year. Let's give it up for RJ the Barber. Our next guest represents what it means to turn craft into a brand. 30 years in the game, if you can believe it. Built a following of hundreds of thousands and turned barbering into a platform for entrepreneurship, luxury, and legacy. He's actively taking his pea coat off because it's hot as hell in here. He's not just focused on the cut, he's focused on how you should show up, how you should position yourself, and how you build something that lasts. And this is his second time on this stage with us. Let's give it up for Taylorcutz. Right. He comes out. All right, our last guest just so happens to be my co-moderator. He's a husband, father of four, don't know how, barbershop owner, brand consultant, educator, and as many of you know, CEO of Anti-Broke Barbers Club. Let's give that for my brother. All right, so 5 of us are up here. Look pretty good. So, 40 is my big one.
Oh, that's good.
That's good. One wife. So I kind of want to start deep. Some of these conversations that we have generally, kind of start surface level. So Bones, I'm gonna give it to you. I gave her introduction of yourself, but in your own words, who is Bones?
The father. That is my wife, everything revolves around the lifestyle that I can provide for my kids. And I feel that I want to be judged for the human beings that I raise. That is my legacy. That is what I feel is going to represent me when I'm long gone in this earth. Is what my kids say. I don't care. I really, honestly, I don't care what nobody thinks. If y'all follow me, you know I do not care. The only people I care about opinions of me is my children. When I leave this earth or when I'm not in the room, that's all I care about. So for me, I'm a father, and then everything else just rolls into its place after this. I don't do anything. Like I had a conversation with my dad. I was like, I never knew he was so passionate about being a barber. He said I wasn't. I was passionate about being a provider, and barbering is what I did to be able to do that. And I feel like I've adopted that same mindset.
Amazing. What's your
I'm RJ Barber. I'm from Madison, Wisconsin. I'm 28. I own Headquarters Barbershop, as he said, Wisconsin Clipper Supply, as well as Sauce Enhancements. And I'm all about just the business of barbering, as well as personal growth in as many ways as we have the option to do within this industry. Like Bones said, I really appreciate the mention of being a father. That's big. We live busy lives as barbers, and I just had a couple conversations out here about how to balance that and create that time for our kids, so it's very important to me as well.
Woo! Y'all gotta be quiet.
All right, y'all. If y'all don't know me, my real name is Raphael, and Taylor is my middle name. And I'm a Nigerian kid, born and raised in Nigeria. Moved out here when I was 8 years old. Started barbering at 10.
Sorry.
I am a person of love and passion. I love what I do. Passion keeps me going. And I chose this out of everything else that I was really good at because of the passion and how I revitalize people. I bring them back to life, just being natural. And so who I am, I'm a natural man. I don't feel like I need to enhance anything else on people. Just be you, wash your hair, come to me, get a haircut, wash it, you look better than what you did before. You know what I'm saying? So that's who I am. There's a lot more that I can say, but my time is up. I appreciate y'all for coming.
I just want to say before Ray goes, we had a conversation before we started. I said 3-minute intro. So far, I'm doing pretty good. Generally, we're not so good at this, so shout out to y'all. Keep doing it.
First of all, I definitely want to thank you guys for coming, especially a lot of Anti-Broke Barbers Club members. You guys travel from far all the time out of state, so I definitely want to give you guys a big thanks for coming out. And everyone else as well. As you know, I'm we co-host this together, so I'm kind of mostly in charge of putting the guys together that's on the panel so they know where we're at. For you guys that don't know, I don't cut hair. I've owned a barber shop. You always ask me all the time and stuff. So I've owned a barber shop now this April for 14 years now. Multiple shops in Los Angeles and Las Vegas. Owned shops, lost shops, sold shops, closed shops. So I always come with a different perspective. Just kind of on a manager or kind of a observer. That's just what I am. So my part and what I do is help the people around me be better, help them to know what they're doing, help them to understand the industry that they're in, right? So that's kind of a position that I've been blessed to be a part of. My whole thing is to inspire others, and I know the things that I stand for and that I believe in and that I've been brought up with and went through, and it's always shaped me to help others. Like we're going to get into in this conversation, you guys all cut hair, but right now that's probably the easy thing. Dealing with life and everyday struggles and family and money and certain things like that. That kind of takes the forefront right now in a lot of things that's going on. So yeah, and about 5 years ago, I started this brand, Anti-Broke Barbers Club, with one of my old partners. But yeah, our whole mission was, like I said, just to help other barbers, grow and find themselves. So, and that's what you guys see at our booth all the time. All the people that come around, and now they work with other brands. A lot of my guys that started here, they always come up to me, bro. I'm still anti, blah blah blah. I'm like, bro, that's what this is made for. You guys to come here, learn what you need to know, certain things, and then step out and work with other brands. That's what we love to see, and that's what our brand is here for. So we'll get into a little bit more, but that's a little bit about me.
3 minutes and 30 seconds. Okay. So before we dig into some of what Ray just mentioned, I failed to mention some housekeeping things that I think are really important as we have this conversation. Number one, we'll be doing this for the next 90 or so minutes. There will be an hour, give or take, at the end for open Q&A. So if you have any questions, please hold them. Please try not to interrupt. I know it can be difficult, but this conversation is extremely meaningful when these guys here pretty much get a chance to kind of get it off. You'll get asked your questions at the end. And then lastly, in terms of venue, there's a little ramp over here for those of you that are sitting. Try not to walk on that. It will break. So walk anywhere. Don't kind of walk around the aisles. So you shouldn't have an issue there. But going back to what you just said, Ray, from a balance perspective, I think RJ, you mentioned it too. For those of you that can bestow upon any of the younger barbers in the room, or early career barbers that are just kind of getting started out, what would you say to them from an advice standpoint? Everyone's kind of looking for, I'm trying to become a 6-figure barber. I'm trying to, grow my clientele. It's hustle, hustle, hustle. What would y'all say to them?
All right. Well, I would say if this is something that you want to do, you got to make sure you give it 100%. I see a lot of people are doing so many different things and then complaining they don't have enough clients. And to me, I've been in the barbershop for 30 years or 28 years. In the last 2 years, I've been on my own. But I've seen barbers multitasking with different venues of trying to make money. And I told myself, I got to dedicate my life to just cutting hair. I'm good at a lot of things. I don't get paid for those. And cutting hair since I was 10, I've been getting money, not knowing that this is what I wanted to do. As a Nigerian kid, my mom was always telling me, this is not it. This is not what I want my son to do. I have an older brother and a younger sister, and they are excelling in, engineering and my sister works for NASA. And so I'm the middle kid, and I'm over here talking to my mom like, I want to cut hair. She almost disowned me until I gave her $15,000 and told me like, put this in your bank, cash. And she believed me, especially when I started working in LA. I'm from the Bay Area too, so I moved away from the Bay Area and came down here full time. I'm saying down here. Nah, I forgot that I'm not in LA. I came down to LA 12 years ago, and I made this my only job was to cut hair. I was good at lots of things. I played football, I ran track, I did wrestling my whole life. I stayed in shape. I thought I was gonna do this. I thought I was gonna make it in the NFL. I got scouted in college when I was 20 years old. I injured my knee. I tore my meniscus, and that was over for me. And I was looking for the next thing to do, which I had to take education serious. So I graduated with a theater degree, and I said, you know what? I'm gonna be an actor. I'll be the first. This is before I think Kevin Hart was out. I said, I'll be the first Kevin Hart. I thought I was funny, but I only had barbershop jokes. And I've always cut hair. And so I was just doing multiple things trying to make money, streams of income. But then as soon as I gave my whole life to, sure? Okay, all right. As soon as I gave my life to cutting hair, I've tripled up my income, and I know this is it for me. And I tell the young barbers, I say, listen, this is what you want to do. I can coach you, I can help you out, I can send clientele to you, but I just got to know that if I call you, you're not telling me I'm too busy. I'm doing something else. I'm selling T-shirts over here. Nah, I got money coming your way. I need you to be here, stay put. And if you have the hustle mentality, as a Nigerian, I was born with it. You know, it wasn't something that I had to go get a skill to do. So I was always, you know, hustling, going out looking for clients. I've cut so many people that inspired me, and I inspired them in the chair. So this was really what I really wanted to do without having to break my back or, you know, overworking myself. And I was a hustler. Gunna worked with me at Elegance for a few years, and I walked around Melrose handing out business cards to everybody and anybody. And a lot of people these days, I don't know how young you guys are, but there's no hustle. There's no hustle spirit. So you a hustler.
I still got it.
You-
I'm originally from the Tower, so I still do it. I know it's a lot of platform.
Okay. So
It just works naturally. You said naturally.
okay. So I said 1%.
It ain't gonna come down to you. You have to build it up.
Gotta build it
It
up.
happened naturally.
Yeah.
I had to build it up to get what I want.
Absolutely. Save your story for me after we get done. I need to tap in with you. So I had to really hustle to get all of my clients and get all the people that I've done. And as you guys see, I don't know if you guys follow me on Instagram, but I post every 4 days or every 5 days. Every week I post. And it's just it's the haircut of the week that I always post. I've done so many people. A lot of my clients, they are either drug dealers or gamblers. A lot of people think I cut celebrities. I don't. I don't like cutting celebrities. Those are not my favorite people. They're very, very broke, and they want just to. They want to give you a shout out for a haircut. I really don't care about the followers. It's not the followers don't pay me. You know what I'm saying? So I go towards the people who have that. Excuse my French. That fuck you money. The ones who don't want that $25 haircuts. They're not gonna sit in a barbershop where there's a lot of people where they feel like they're paid. So I took myself away from that and just kind of put a niche on the kind of people that I want to attract. I charge $600 a haircut. So these are the people that I gravitate towards. So if you got that bread, I got time for you. I take about 2 hours on a haircut because I love what I do. I'm very, very particular about, trying to compete with people who use enhancements and all that stuff. I've never touched enhancements in my life. So I stay natural and get paid more because I dedicated my life to this. Even with my theater degree, I don't even want to act anymore because I went to an audition one time in LA and there was 15 people that looked just like me. I lost my shit. I walked out. I said, this is bullshit. I'm going back to the barbershop. You know what I'm saying? So if this is what you want to do, I say you give it 100%, you will succeed. That's it.
Tony, I was wondering, a lot of them for more conversation.
So, my boy, so I know a lot of people have conversations about the $600 a haircut. We will come back to that, I promise, because I heard something coming from the audience. But RJ and Bones, I know both of you are fathers, respectively. Bones, you know, kind of let off with it. From a work-life balance perspective, knowing what you're doing every day to provide for your family, and then also knowing the responsibilities that you have at home with that family, like what does that make of? How do you balance it on really?
It's really wild because I've had this conversation maybe 3 or 4 times this weekend, just at the level 3 booth with the panel discussion that we've been having. So I know for a fact there's confirmation I'm supposed to continue to keep having it because people need to hear it and there's value in it. I've been saying it all weekend is that we are teaching these young barbers that you have to have balance, and that's wrong. There should be no balance. There shouldn't be a 50-50 split. Your business should not be on the same level, from my perspective, as your personal life, as your mind, as your mental health, your relationship with God. Those things should always trump that because there can never be a Bonexthegoat if core is not okay. But core will always exist if Bonexthegoat ceases to exist tomorrow. If social media is deleted tomorrow, my substance is still there because I put the investment in the things that aren't tangible, like my character, my integrity, my relationship building, the people that I keep around me, how I treat people. Like when I take pride in walking out of a room and knowing that people have good things to say about me. You know what I'm saying? Even though I don't care like that. Like I said, I care about my kids. But it does feel good to know that your peers view you in a certain light based off of you just being yourself. Never try to be nobody else. But we telling these kids and these young barbers that's coming into the industry, not even kids in the sense I'm talking about like babies in the industry, like you just getting into it, but you gotta have balance. The balance should never be 50-50 split. You always want to invest more in who you are as a person because if that machine is running smooth, everything else flows from that. Everything that you want will be attracted to you. Whatever you have in your life right now is just a reflection of the work that you're putting on the inside. You're just going to attract it, whether it's a bunch of BS or whether it's a lot of light and grace, you're going to attract that no matter what. But at one point in time, I was the bad version of what Taylor was talking about, where I was obsessed with it to the point where my identity revolved around my social media and my business, my haircuts, to the point where I was always super emotional. DL, you know, Frank, you know, I was very reactive instead of proactive in the things that I did because I was very insecure about who Corey was as a person. And I felt in my mind I couldn't afford for people to find out that I didn't have it all together and that I wasn't perfect. But on social media, I'm able to create that image with Bones. So I had that luxury, but then as time went on, the balance, the pendulum began to sway more so into me being more pro Bones than pro Corey. And I had a conversation with myself, like I do my grounding as much as I can. Like I'll go walk around my lake, around my crib. If y'all follow me, y'all see I have my feet on the gram all the time. You know, systems create success, and I see it all the time on my story. And one day I was walking around my lake, and I was having my prayer. And after my prayer, I just had like my moment, just like process my thoughts. And I had the thought to myself, I was like, if my daughter was an adult right now, would I want her to date a man like me? And I had to look at myself in the mirror and be like, hell no. Then in the same sense, I had to be like, if my son was my age and he had the character traits that I have and the things that I practice and the things that I subscribe to and the things that I truly value in life, would I want him to be a man like that? And it was no. And I had to learn these things the hard way. I remember I took a trip to Lebanon to do a rebranding when I was like previously working with governments a few years ago, and they wanted to do a rebrand, so they flew like educators out to Lebanon. And I remember like just having a moment out there and thinking to myself, I was like, I saw a family of 4 on one motor scooter. The father was in the front, the mom was in the back, and the 2 children were between the 2 of them. And in America, we would deem that as somebody living in poverty. But when I looked on these people's faces, they had peace. They were happy. And here I am back home in America, and I'm complaining about the things that people will pray for. You know, the things that I valued in life that were tangible that I can exchange with somebody really didn't mean nothing. These people have more sense of community. They have more sense of pride, more sense of family than I've ever experienced. And I could see it through the smile on their face. Because in their mind, the only thing that mattered was we're together. And I took that back home to America, and I took that back home with me for the rest of my life. It was like, this is what I had to really like look on my board and like, what do I truly value? Do I value the things that I own? Or do I value the things that I can teach my kids, the tools that I'm giving my children? And that was where that was the starting point for me to where I had to like, in a sense, kind of kill bones. Like almost to the point where I was gonna like change my Instagram name to just Core Shirt. Because I was like embarrassed of the image that I had, the wrestler. You know, I was like Stone Cold. You know what I'm saying? I was like The Rock. I wasn't Dwayne Johnson. I had created The Rock, and it got so big that I just wanted to completely separate myself from it because I was embarrassed because I knew that that wasn't how my father raised me, and I wasn't the type of father that I wanted to be to my kids.
It's a lot of gems going on right now. I feel like we're going through like a whole spectrum from you to Corey to me, where like I fully agree with everything you say, but I think I'm in the beginning phases of those. Like my son was born in September of 2023, and I opened my barbershop in March of 2024. So my son's whole life I've been living at my barbershop. You know, and now being 2 years in the business, like I don't get a work-life balance. You know, I live at work. I cut all day, every day, and I have 17 other barbers that I manage, and upon other businesses. But like that is what I strive for. You know, listening to them talk, and that takes time to learn. And especially as a new barber, like referring back to the first question, you gotta earn that stuff stripe by stripe by stripe. You don't get to skip steps. You don't get to go graduate school, get a ring light and some gloves and charge crazy numbers. You earn it bit by bit and work your way up. And now that I have these younger barbers in my establishment looking up to me and my pathway, like I see that they watch what I do more than I can even think. They watch how when I get off work, the time I spend with my family, the time I manage to the gym or whatever other hobbies I have. And so now I'm finally to that point where I want to get to my grounding. I want to get to my, like, I'm building to earn myself enough free time to have a work-life balance. But that takes time, you know, and as a young barber, you don't even know what that means. You know, as a young barber, you should be taking those cuts from 9 to 9. You should be taking every last head that comes in the barbershop. You don't say no. And I got barbers that, you know, they want to take their hour lunch. They don't want to take a head because they only have 25 minutes, but they think they take 45. Like, you got to do that, you know, and tell your next 2 clients I'm a couple minutes behind, bro. I got you next. But we see our career is a hustle. And so to thrive at that, you need to start off running. You need to hit the ground running. And yeah, I mean, I took a lot from what you said, just in my own path.
I'm not even gonna hold you. Like, don't let my story convict you to deter you from what you're doing. Because when I first had my son, the month before my son was born, I went to my first barbershop. Like, that's literally, I know the exact date, December 16, 2013. My son was born January 27, 2014. And I hit the ground running too. Like hard. I was like, any of y'all been following me for years. I had a video, I went viral. Like with my dreads, I'm in the barbershop screaming, it's like, this is all I got. This is all I got. And I meant that because that was Corey at that season. Your season right now may be, I need to run through every single wall. That's just not where I'm at right now. And even in saying that, I've been saying this all weekend, so I've been asking people, like, success is subjective, bro. It's different for everybody. Taylor's successful because he's charging $600 for a haircut. I'm successful because I can take this amount of time off to be with my kids, and we're both right. You're successful because you have 18 barbers at your shop, and you have a child that you're able to provide for. That's success. There's no wrong answer to that. So I just want to make sure that I don't want my story or my season to convict you to where you're at, because we're not at the same stage.
Oh, and that's why I like going through the seasons of hearing your story, and then going to my story. It's just the seasons of your life and success and whatever that definition is. There's so many different ways, but I think it all starts with this extreme level of hustle that you need to have to get there, to even get to that season.
Bro, hold on. We gonna get to you. I done see you raise your hand 3 times. Take your phone out, put it in your notes. We got a whole hour just for you. I swear we gonna call you first. Cause I see you and you're making me feel bad because I gotta ignore you and I don't want to.
Write it down,
I want to ask you a question. You're making me feel bad right now, bro.
I came after, we said that.
Okay,
We got a
yeah.
section for it. We got it, Frankie.
There's always one person I want to ask a question. Just wait, I promise we'll get to you. You got my word. Just write, I'm serious, write it down.
See, bubbling in you, dog.
You can't sit still.
I see it. Every time I look at you. We gonna get to you, I swear.
So Ray, I'm actually gonna come to you. RJ just mentioned a couple seconds ago that this profession is a hustle. I know over the last 2-3 years that you and I have been working together, we've been talking about kind of behind the scenes. This profession is more than a hustle, hence the name of our dinner for those of you that have been to it in Connecticut. So Ray, what's your stance on that from a business of barbering perspective? Hearing kind of all the seasons, all the perspectives, kind of,
Man, the seasons part was real big, but definitely want to say,
he said it's a hustle.
It was more than a hustle. I feel like I don't want to say back because we have a lot of generations of, in the hair business. But I feel like before, maybe within the last 10 years, before that, it was kind of more in the hustle. It was more of a hustle, right? People that got out of jail knew they could count on jobs like this or didn't have no other means. So I feel like it was more than a hustle. And now for most barbers, it's a profession. So people have to understand that when you're saying, me having a shop for 14 years, I've watched every single barber in the shop. What they do, some of these guys are my friends, my best friends, some of these guys are my blood brothers. And I've watched just everything that happens. I watch, because where I'm at, I'm pretty popular and known where I'm at in Los Angeles. So I've had people that girls that I went to school, middle school with, and high school with, come and bring their kids to my shop and support my shops, right? So it's a family type environment. And I watch the women that come in the shop look at barbers because they're talking about, saying the wrong things in the shop, or I've had gay client friends and things that I went to school with, or know that's in Hollywood in the business, don't feel comfortable coming to my shop because barbers make them feel uncomfortable with those certain type of conversations and things you do in the shop, right? I see people come in there and kids, a woman complaining before. My son has asthma and everybody smells like weed in there, right? So there's so many different objectives that I've always watched about barbers that don't talk to clients, don't interact, don't, a lot of different things that barbers do. So if you guys, like you said, this is put your all into this, 100%. Like you said, I know barbers that want to sell weed on the side and do these little things or don't come in and, take their little time because they get, you guys get to make the schedule that you want. That's a gift and a curse for people that can't stay on top of what they have to do, right? If you can control yourself and be on top of it, it's cool. But if you need somebody with some structure, it's a little harder for you because you do what you want to do, right? And I'll kind of go back to the seasons because I wanted to touch on that, right? Because like you said, Bones, this is the season that you're in right now, the maturing and understanding, right? RJ, you know, you're just getting to this. I remember being 28 and opening my shop. And that was all, like you said, opening multiple shops, right? I've been in shops 16-hour days. Like, you know, I don't gotta cut hair, but I put all the floors in. I put all the drywall in. I put every sink in. I put in every countertop, right? Everything that's happened in the shop, I've done that, right? Everything that needs to be in there, I've done it. So I understand the part of just being a, you know, your early stages, you kind of got to be an animal, right? Your kids are not that old; they're not understanding stuff. You don't, you know, some people don't have kids yet, right? So that's the time where you gotta do that. But when you're hearing these stories about what Bones has went through or telling all this stuff, you hear this for you guys that are younger, so you don't have to go through all those type of steps, right? You know, it's 10 steps, but now you get to skip 4 of them because you heard and you understand and you learned, right? So, um, you know, everybody's going to be in different seasons. So just be knowledgeable about that. You know, be in rooms and have people that you can lean on. Right? I got a lot of young barbers. It tripped me out, bro. Look, you know, one of the guys showcasing our with us in Houston. He like, you're my dad's age. Like, how old are you? This dude's 18. Like, you know, and they love what they do, and it's, you know, I'm just I don't want to say I'm blessed to be able to help others get to where they need to be, and whatever fashion that has to be, right? I've went through things where, you know, barbers, you know, that I've met tapped in and reached out to me, right? And the same thing, I've had a lot of barbers that go through certain things, and you know, I'm that person for them, you know, and I know that, and I take pride in that. So, you know, everything that I do in helping others. You know, sometimes it's more so than helping myself, right? I've had a shop for 14 years. I probably made good money, 7 of them, broke even, you know, 3 of them, and 4 of them probably paid out of my pocket. I paid for my shop during COVID every month for 4 months, my money, $4,000, because I wasn't losing the shop. And like, and I didn't say this before. I've had a shop for 14 years, but what got me into it is I've had 3 younger brothers that went to jail on the same day. You know, one 11 years, one 9 years, and one about a year. So you know, I worked in Hollywood doing nightlife and stuff like that. So I was saving my money, and they went end up going to jail. And you know, I just felt like it was a perfect opportunity for me to open my shop, and you know, just to give them an opportunity when they came home to have something that they could do or fall back on. And you know, 2 of my brothers have been barbers since the day they came home. One day my brother came home, we picked him up. Next day he was enrolled in barber school. So you know, I feel like that's the story that I've had things like that. And, you know, I've always wanted to, you know, like make sure my brothers was good. You know, make sure everybody was good. You know, everybody that knows my handle is called Ray Brotherhood. My shops are called Brotherhood Barbershop. So you know, it's just, you know, we take that word a little bit more serious than others. You know, so it's a family, and anybody that's involved with it, coming in and out of my shop, I want them to do good. You come in my shop, you go leave, you get your own shop. That's perfect. I know nobody's staying in my shop forever, and I don't expect anybody to do that if they want to have their own stuff. So, um, yeah, just you guys, everybody's gonna have different seasons, but you know, make sure you got people around you to help you get through those seasons.
I was about to say
I was about to say that was real.
something. He picked up his mic like,
I wanted to. He was in it. Like that's what I feel like is so beautiful about our industry is it's really like a lifeline for a lot of people. You know what I'm saying? And the fact that like your mindset was like, I'm really gonna be my brother's keeper, and then when you did the work, and then you weren't even a barber, that's different. You know what I'm saying? So like, shout out to you, my nigga. I'm right there.
The crazy thing is, my aunt sent me a letter like when I was probably about 20 years old. You know, I was like, oh, I'm trying to go to college, play basketball, blah blah blah. So I was asking her for some money, right? She sent me some money, but she sent me the letter that I sent her. And I was like, you know, I want to open I said I wanted to have a clothing store. I want to open up a barber shop and to do all this stuff. And this letter was 9 years before I even opened a barber shop. Crazy. Like I said, people didn't know I've grown up in barbershops, right? You know, that's to me, that's Black culture. You know what I'm saying? Being in barbershops, I was raised in them. You know, I had to go there after school to hang out and to sweep up, earn money. So you know what I'm saying? I know everything, the whole dynamic in it. You know what I'm saying?
You don't play all down with them, so.
I love it. I don't know how to gamble, play Jim Herman in the barbershop. My pop's in the barber, so I already know what time it is.
I was in a barbershop that got shut down over that. But let me just say something. Hey, I'm proud of the season that I'm in, though. You know, and you talking about the hustle, and we all talk to each other about, if we're gonna do this, we're gonna do this. We're gonna get into the real. You know, we're gonna talk about things, and like, you know, you had mentioned I was 2025 Rookie of the Year at the CT Barber Expo, and they say in those credentials or like the criteria to get that is like, you know, we don't want a sob story. Everything, you know, everybody has this and that. So you more focus on like your accomplishments and why you're going for this and the positivity. But there is a lot of stories behind barbering, and a lot of us have some serious stories too. I'm not cracking up. I'm just, my voice is gone from the show. But hey, like I heard Ray on, you know, you play every role from contractor to HR to janitor to flooring specialist, everything. And like to get back to young barbers, I've done seminars in a jail. I've done seminars in local high schools. And like I think it's important for young barbers to hear, like, I don't look like what I've been through by any means, and nobody would guess like the amount of things that go into inspiring a hustle. Like I probably wasn't born with it either, but when you go through, you know, the amount of in and out of jail, the amount of like loss of parents, lost identity. I grew up in different households. Like I've been through things from being set up by an informant when I thought I was a young trapper, and being sitting in jail over weed and gun charges, and just sitting there thinking like, who am I? Like what am I even doing here? And so I remember a guard telling me, you don't look like you're supposed to be here. I'm like, yeah, you're right. You go ahead and let me turn around. But shit, like these young barbers need to hear we've been through it too, and that's what inspires you to have a hustle and to know that like this is what I'm supposed to do all day, every day. I'm supposed to be getting to it and doing whatever that right decision is. For me, it was keeping myself occupied so I didn't get into the wrong things anymore. And yeah, man, that hustle conversation ahead seasons.
So I like what you said. I grew up in a barbershop too, Bones. Your pops was a barber, still is a barber?
Once I got good enough to cut his clients, he stopped. My pop's a personal trainer now.
Oh, okay.
I told you, he said this wasn't my passion.
Yeah.
My passion was providing for my kids. So the moment I got good enough, he gave me his TI lines, his masters, and in 76 years, he built me a barbershop in his garage and taught me how to cut.
I like that. That's a good story. You should write a book. Yeah. For real, you should write a book. I'll buy it. Don't give it to me for free. I'll buy it. So my case, my father, he's French. My mom is Nigerian. And so my father is a military guy. He was in the Navy. So he flew everywhere. So his best friend owned a barbershop in San Jose. And when I was 10 years old, I would go over there to sweep up to get $5 here and there. You know what I'm saying? This is back in 1999. Y'all, a lot of y'all weren't born. A lot of 2000s kids up in here.
106 in Park days.
106 in Park with Bow Wow. So I started sweeping up the barbershop, and I mean, show of hands, how many people have been done for 5 years? 10 years? 15?
Let's go.
20?
Let's go.
25?
Okay.
30? Okay, so we have.
You go higher.
My bad. Respect. DL in the building.
Got DL in the building, y'all.
You gotta get up here and give us a little. You have to come over here and give us a little. Cause I want to learn from you. You get what I'm saying? Everybody here knows who you are, and you listening to us. I commend you on that. That means a lot. So what I want to say is, I didn't grow up with social media. I learned to be social in real life. I learned to talk to people as human beings. We're the biggest animals on planet. You see dogs and dogs, they talk to each other. They might be barking, but they talking. You see cats, they stare at each other, they might want to scratch each other, but they still talk. Just for you to be a barber and not talk to people, my father said, if you walk into a barber shop, you shake everybody's hand. You get to know everybody. And that's something that stuck with me. Everybody, if I didn't shake your hand yet, I will shake your hand. But as soon as I walk in here, I shook everybody that was already in here. That's just my mentality. And you shake your hand, you meet a friend. You know what I'm saying? Not everybody is going to like you, but you shouldn't care. Just show your character. You know what I'm saying? Be yourself. If people talk about you, it doesn't matter. There's no publicity that's bad publicity. If they're talking about you, you are somebody. You get what I'm saying? So, being at the shop at 10 years old, I've never had a regular job. I don't know how to clock in 9 to 5. I've always been a barber. I just never knew this is what I wanted to do just because of the limitations that my parents put in me. My mom told me she didn't want me to be a barber. And just seeing my brother going in and out of jail made me level up because I had to be the man of the house to take care of my little sister. You know, my parents never gave me money, never gave me allowance. I did chores, I cooked. At the age of 10, I'm doing grown man stuff. I didn't have an older brother to look up to. He was a downfall in my family. So I stepped up. You know, I know a lot of you guys got siblings that's probably doing better than you. You guys got friends that's probably doing better than you. You got teammates that's doing better than you. On the right-hand side, you got people that look like you that's doing better than you. And then on the left-hand side, you got people that would die to be in your position right now. They would die to be where you at right now. Look who showed up. I mean, we've been promoting this all day long, all night, for weeks, months, but y'all showed up. I wish I was y'all right now, because growing up, I didn't have none of this. Even if we did, I didn't know, because there was no way to publicize it. You know what I'm saying? There was no social media. So in my mind, I'm still in wow, even though I'm up here. I should be watching DL. You know what I'm saying? I was telling somebody outside, I said, I used to use the S-Curl box, the picture of the S-Curl box. That was my social media. I wanted to cut just like the barber cut those pictures on that box. That's what I learned from. I went to school and everything. I failed 3 times, stayed bored, until I complained to them. I said, yo, there's no way I gotta learn anatomy to cut hair. I gotta learn the whole full body to cut hair? Why? They respond to me and say, okay, go and take one more test. And I'll pass. So to me, I'm like, did y'all just let me pass? Y'all just taking my money? Because why do I have to learn the heart rate in the lungs and everything else that doesn't have anything to do with hair for me to pass this? I just want to cut hair. I'm not dissecting a human being. This is not biology class. So doing this at a young age got me disciplined. I was making money. I was cutting hair. At 10 years old, I was cutting hair for a box of chocolate milk, Danish, a donut. I would put my clipper. I only had one clipper. I had, I think it was Conair back then. I zero gapped that thing until your skull was bleeding. Back then in the early 2000s, there weren't really lineups like that. There weren't really fades like that. Nelly brought that out. I was watching Nelly and I'm like, yo, that's a fresh fade. I want to cut like that too. You know what I'm saying? I had to learn all these things. There was no Instagram. There's no YouTube. Facebook wasn't even born. You know what I'm saying? So being social got me to where I'm at. I'm comfortable talking to anybody. There's nobody that I'm, besides Obama, I'll probably be nervous because Obama, but there's nobody that I really would be nervous to talk to or to cut. And all I want to say is, be yourself, man. Stop running from who you are. I'm already taken. You can't be another Taylorcutz.
Let's go.
You know what I'm saying? Be who you are. You're meant to be who you are. You know what I'm saying? Like, I see people say, man, I want to be just like you. Once you say that, I don't even want to talk to you anymore. I feel like you lost your identity. Be yourself, man. Gutter. You are gutter for a reason.
I'll be
feeling for a day.
No, on the real, I didn't get the $600 just to piss people off. I was trying to take myself out of the normality of barbershops. You know what I'm saying? I didn't want to be in a barbershop no more. And I remember working at Elegance, I was charging $50 a haircut. And then Jay Nori told me, he said, hey, bro, I need you to start charging $40. I'll bring some celebrities to you. And that pissed me off. There is no limit to how much you can make for a cut or an hour. You can make $1 million an hour. It's your choice. It's your decision to make that big step. It's gonna be. I got so much to say. Listen, if you're cutting 10 heads a day for $20 and you bump your price to $30, you're gonna lose half your client, but you're gonna make more. With 5 heads, you're gonna make more and have time to even edit, have time for yourself. A lot of barbers are obese, a lot of barbers are overweight, a lot of barbers don't take care of themselves. They eat trash, they eat poor. I'm a fitness expert. I don't show myself in fitness. I don't show my body, but I'm in the gym 6 times a week. I take care of myself. I got one of my good friends, Junior, 6'2", 400 pounds. He lost some weight.
I don't know what that man got going on.
And he's going through it. He's going through it. And it pisses me off because I learned so much from him. I learned so much from him. I used to look at him back in the day when I used to work in Modesto, California. I used to say, man, I want to cut like him. He's a razor guru. He'll do a whole face with just a razor. You know what I'm saying? Like, I looked up to him and I said, I was so afraid. I was 13 or 14. I was a freshman in high school, working at a shop. And I used to do commission. Wherever I cut, they take 60% and I keep 40. I didn't care. I would still cut. I needed a spot to cut. So I would learn from him and he would do graphics and designs. And I was like, Junior, how do you do this? And he would smoke a cigarette and he would sit down and cut hair. He would have a square in his mouth, light it up, and just splat water on his client's head. The person is dripping with water, and he just grabbed a razor and just carve out designs. I learned from that guy. That was my Instagram in real life. You know what I'm saying? So when I do my stuff, I just remember those things that he taught me. Nobody else did those things, and he did everything with no color. Everything was organic, and I just liked the way he just did it. So now you guys got all these platforms. It's this way to do this way to do that. I just say you just find what you like. If you mess with me, I will teach you some good stuff. But if you don't, I still will teach you some good stuff. Because either way, you're gonna watch and you're gonna observe and you're gonna compare it to somebody else's work. Either way, all right. But all I'm saying is be yourself. Know that this is what you really want to do. And do it. Don't ever say no to a client. I did that once and I regretted it. Because I would have learned so much from this person. All he wanted was mustache lineup, and I don't have a price for that. And what he did is, I didn't even know he was the Prince of Persia. He had his full beard, and he just wanted this with this lineup. He gave the next guy $1,000 just for that. I watched him, and I regretted it. You just never know. You can't count people's pockets by the way they look. You know what I'm saying? So please, y'all, if this is what y'all want to do, man, talk to me, holler at me, ask me some questions. I got y'all. But if this is not what you want to do, I really can't help you. I'm sorry. This is anti-broke. I'm not going to help y'all get broke. I'm going to help y'all get anti-broke. I think the biggest
through line that we've heard over the last 45 minutes or so is each of you have your own path to success, and that path just looks different. And we just heard, Taylor talk about how he learned in the age of pre-social media. What I think we all want to hear is like, and Bones, I'm gonna actually come to you first. What was the thing that you struggled with most to get to where you are? Maybe it was a little bit of the mental health stuff, but I'm not sure if there's anything else kind of that made you think about what
As far as like where I'm at in like my career now,
Anybody want to say it?
bro, it's my ego. The biggest thing, it's the biggest thing that I struggle with because I had the drive, I had the hunger. I definitely had that aspect of what it took to be successful, but I wasn't teachable. I wasn't a sponge that I should have been. I felt like I knew it all. And when you're like that, when you're not allowed to be taught, it's impossible for you to grow. And then I was afraid of discomfort too. And because I was never comfortable, because I was always comfortable, I wasn't growing. I didn't let people speak to me that was contrary to how I may have felt because it pushed on certain insecurities. So my insecurities just flared at my ego. And then God kind of had to humble me on a lot of occasions where I had to sit down and really like look at how I was moving and just make the proper adjustments. But for me, the thing that hindered me the most, it wasn't a haircut because I wasn't afraid to cut nobody's hair. I didn't care because I knew I tell young barbers like to this day, like when they come up to the booth or whatever, and I have engagements with them, I was like, it's very important for you to understand that you suck right now, like you're trash, and that's okay because I've never seen a barber walk into the shop and just been like that off rip. Like I understood I sucked, but I understood I was like, all right, I can't fade at all, so I'm gonna make sure these lineups is crazy. So I just played into what I was good at, but none of that mattered because I was shutting just as many doors as I was opening because of my ego wouldn't allow me to be taught. I thought I wanted to be the guy, but the reason I was that way was because I was so insecure as a person. And Instagram and social media gave me an opportunity to create a character that seemed to be super confident. I dressed wild. Whenever I take my pictures, I have my mouth wide open. I'm slugged up, gold teeth, I'm tatted, all of that. Very outspoken. I'm real brash in my words. If I see something in the industry that I don't like, I'm gonna call you out on it, and I'm gonna stand on it in person. But it was just all like a child. You know what I'm saying? I was like a kid that was like throwing a tantrum because I didn't want to deal with the internal things that I really need to handle, and I wouldn't let nobody tell me about myself. So that hindered me a lot. And then once God humbled me, and I kind of like had an aspect of like that ego death, it allowed me to start from the beginning and work my way up to go to the people that I did wrong by and make peace and apologize and tell them like, hey, like you was right. I apologize for the things that I did. I pray that you can forgive me for that so that way we can move forward, or just I can move forward knowing that I made peace in that aspect. But it was never like cutting hair. Like I was never afraid to do a haircut. I didn't care because I understood it was like this thing is a process. And my dad, I was blessed because my father was a barber. So he explained to me, he's like, bro, it's gonna take time. It's really gonna take time. Like, bro, when I first started cutting, I learned how to cut hair on my handicapped uncle. Like my dad's younger brother is handicapped. My dad's a legal guardian of him. It used to take me 2 hours, bro, to do a half skin fade. A half skin fade. And my uncle, of course, he didn't know no better. You know what I'm saying? I would be out there so long cutting hair with my outliner, my T outliners, that I used to have to unplug my clippers and put them in the freezer in the garage to cool it down because we didn't have cool hair. We just had clipper side. The clipper side would cool the clippers down. And I would have my uncle scabbed up the next day, but I was okay with it because I understood it was a process. So for me, it was a mental thing. It was a mental thing. It was just that addressing that ego and allowing myself to be a sponge.
we go through the question again. I was
Yeah,
locked in on
so, yeah, me too. So, being 28, owner of, you said 3 businesses, father and so on, what's been the, I guess, the biggest hurdle or struggle that you've had to really overcome to get to where you are?
I think one of the biggest things is time management. As I mentioned, like I give pretty much all my time to my business, and I think that's a very necessary step. But you gotta, over time, you gotta learn how to dedicate time to things that they should be dedicated to. And yeah, I mean, in the early stages, even almost current stages, I don't get that. So right now is when I'm really trying to form a work-life balance and form, time to be there outside of the business and have things flow passively without me there. So that's why I'm striving for the businesses to do what they do. And if I have a booth at a show like this and I'm able to have guys to work that for me, like that's a blessing because now I get another weekend at home. So as much as I love this and as much as I love being here, my goal is to eventually have, people to be there for me, whether it's the shop or running the clipper supply or whatever. So time management was a big struggle and really still is, but I'm learning day by day.
I think that he's gonna take more from this panel discussion than anybody in the crowd. I feel like,
Look at him, look at him.
I feel like he was supposed to be on the panel because the stuff that me and Taylor are telling him, he's about to start to encounter. And it's gonna save you so much time. So much time. Like, you don't wanna see your kid crying because you feel like you have to go to work. And you're in a position now, and I'm gonna say this to you too. Like that boy Drake said, no, to elevate, you gotta delegate. So you gotta put people in positions so that way it gives you more time. There's a book that I read called Who Not How. Bro, it's an amazing book, and it teaches you the power of delegation, of taking your hand off of things. Because from what I'm hearing from your story, like you growing up and what you went through, it sounds like you've been in survival mode your whole life. To where you don't know what having a break looks like. And you having a break probably convicts you and makes you feel like you're a failure. Giving yourself time to rest is going to be the best thing that you're going to have to learn how to do. Because you don't have to be everywhere all the time in order to be successful and to provide for your son. So I think that, yeah, like I appreciate all of y'all here, but I don't feel like I'm here for y'all. I feel like I'm here for y'all right now.
100% true. Very accurate.
So, Taylor, obviously, I think now we can address the $600 thing.
Oh, for sure.
So, it's been about 45 minutes or so since you said you flirted with it. So help us understand, number one, how you got to that point, and I say if there was any struggle getting to that point, kind of what that looked like on your journey.
All right, so I didn't get to $600 overnight. Quiet, please.
Hey, fellas in the hallway, if y'all can, excuse me. Yo, if y'all can, could y'all just move over to there? Because I know y'all not doing it on purpose, but we can hear y'all whole conversation.
I didn't get to, appreciate that. I didn't get to $600 overnight. I cried a lot of times because I lost a lot of clients. And it was a struggle. I mean, the struggle is now getting better, but it took at least 4 years. And I went through it through COVID. And even COVID, I was charging that, I think $350, $400. And people were paying that. There were maybe 5 people that I gave the grandpa discount. Their grandfather didn't. They paid like $200. But those are the people that's been with me since I was in college. I don't know if you guys see the same routine, the same people on my Instagram that I post. Those are the people that do it for $200. But every year I go up $50. Every year. It's not because I know you guys have heard the saying, if you're too busy, you're broke. Or you're too cheap if you're too busy. I took that and I ate that. I was busy. I'm talking about before I even moved to Elegance to LA. I was in NorCal, and I cut the whole city. I'm talking about I have 17 people waiting for me, cutting at $25 a haircut. There's 5 of us in the barbershop. Junior was one of them. Ask him, call him right now. He will tell you. I have 15 people, 17 people waiting for me while I'm cutting hair. I was doing 30-minute haircut with no razor. I didn't want to use the razor back then because it was taking too much time and I had to be careful because I won't cut nobody. And I'm talking my clientele base are like Assyrians, Indians, Asians, some blacks, but a lot of Assyrians. So they would just sit outside and smoke cigarettes all day and just wait for me to cut them up. So I left. I left there and just came to LA without letting anybody know. I just cold turkey. I just quit on my feet that built me who I was now, who I am now. I just left because I had an opportunity to come to LA to work. And knowing that I have a theater degree in my pocket, I was like, all right, if barber doesn't work out for me, I'm going to be an actor. But I lost my passion for that. In college, I had a group of friends and we all did improv. You know, you could throw anything on stage, I would react to it. And it was funny, hilarious. But it just never brought any money to me. And like I said, this is before Instagram. I started Instagram when I moved to LA. 2015 is when I started Instagram. And so me coming out to LA and I had to do it for $50 a haircut, and my rent was $2,500, and my booth rent was $2,500. And you want me to cut $40 a haircut? I almost cussed him out. I said, bro, you are disrespecting me. You must not know who I am. With my background in sports, I had been scouted maybe in college when I was 22, 23, I was scouted by the Dallas Cowboys. I went to the combine and I blew my knee. I tore my meniscus. My whole life shattered in front of me. I cried. I cried like I was in the movie Titanic. Literally, I was crying. I said, man, I don't spend in my mind, I've spent all the money that I was supposed to make. You know what I'm saying? Before I was young, 22, 23 years old, young, fast, strong, you playing football. I'm thinking like, a couple of my friends made it. They went to the Broncos, and I'm like, man, they telling me how much they're making per game, and I'm like, oh, what am I gonna do? I had a cast from my toe to my hip, pushing a wheelchair for two months. I'm like, yo, what am I gonna do? I don't know what else to do. You know, acting is not gonna pay me. I gotta move to LA. So with those things in my mind, I just made a conscientious decision to say, yo, this is what I gotta do. I gotta cut hair. And when Jay had told me that I gotta start charging $40, I said, bro, don't bring anybody to me unless they got $100 in their pocket. I sat in the shop by myself 7 days a week. I had nobody coming in. The first time I had $100, that's when I made business cards. $30 for 100. I think it was 100 business cards. It was $30. I walked on Melrose and passed out. I met Big Baby Davis, Big Baby, Big Glenn, yeah. And I sit here and I knew, I'm like, yo, this. I gave him a business card. I was like, bro, I work right here. I'm upstairs, man. Come see me. He said, you good? Man, I said, I changed your life. You know, I just like that. I looked up, man, I changed your life. So he trusted me. He came inside of my chair. He said, give me a one and a taper and just give me a chin strap. Man, I took my sweet time. He gave me $150. He looked at it and said, woo, he loved it. I was sweating. It took me a good hour and a half just to finish that. I mean, he was always on the phone doing this and this, wanted to smoke weed in the shop. We let him do it because it's Big Baby. You can, once you that big, you ain't nobody gonna tell you what to do. Do whatever you want. And I was at Elegance, so a lot of celebrities was coming in. Bad Bunny was coming in at that time. So I'm looking like, man, he gave me $150. So $150 became my new standard. I cut 3 heads and I got $500. I called my mom. I said, Mom, I'm thinking. This is the first time I ever got $500 with 3 heads. And these are Glenn Davis people. And I was like, wow, I could really make it. So my eyes lit up, you know, and he would call me up for a house call. He lived in Tarzana. I'll drive over there to cut him up. take my whole shop with me, and he had a couple people that, you know, they were doing music, and I'll just touch him up, and he'll just shoot me 500. Every time I go there, 500, 500. I said, wow, like, this is like a gambling spot for me. Like, I'm really, really about this right now. So a year go by, I said, I'm going up to $200. I started cutting for $200, and people were really impressed. Like, yo, I want to see what that $200 cut feel like. I'm looking at like, you serious? I bet. So they get me nervous because a lot of barbers will come to me and get haircuts just to see what my worth is, see if I'm really about that. I had a lot of barbers come to me to get a haircut. I don't use enhancements at all. I've never tried. I've never done it. I will never use enhancements. That's not who I am. I know who I am. So why would I want to be like somebody else? You know what I'm saying? Like, so let me cut. I could talk forever, but let me talk. So every year I go $50 up. So it became $300, $350, $400. It became where I went from 30 clients to like 6 clients. And they didn't come in once a week. They came in maybe every other weekend or maybe once a month. So I'm sitting there, nothing. I had nobody. Now I'm like, should I go down on my prices? And then I had this white boy came out of nowhere. He looked like Ryan Gosling. He had long hair. He came in with his girlfriend. And it was me, A-Rod, it was Best's Barber, it was Wester, and somebody else, Barber Matt. And so the guy started asking, so how much y'all cut? This is my first time out here in LA. So everybody was giving him prices. Best is like 150, A-Rod was like 250, Wester was like 200. I was like, I cut for 350. And he looked at me and said, I'm gonna go with you. Bro, I was nervous. I don't know why. I didn't want to cut him because he had long hair. I'm not a scissor guru. I don't use shears like that. So I'm thinking in my mind, he wants something like shear work. You know what I'm saying? I know how to cut shears, but that's not my specialty. I'm a clipper guy. So I said, all right, cool. I'm like, you serious? I said, yeah. I said, do I pay now or later? Shit, pay now. Pay now. I want to know this is real. I don't want to cut you up and you're like, yeah, I ain't gonna give you $350 for this. So I cut him up and did a video on his haircut. I turned it from Ryan Gosling to Robin Thicke.
Oh, okay.
I'm talking about his girlfriend was hyping me up while I was cutting him, like, okay, yeah, you got it right. I gave him a lineup. He never had a lineup before. I said, what? And I made a video, and that's my first video that went viral. Had like maybe 6 million views. And this is back in 2019 or 2016. You know, and I'm like, yo, this is crazy. So that became my new standard. 350 was my new standard. Even though I wasn't charging 350, I just didn't want to cut him. I was like, nah, I'm cool. I ain't doing no scissors. So I'm gonna just, I think you were there. Was you there? You was probably there. Yeah, I think you was there. And so that became my new standard was 350. So anybody who want to come to me was 350, 350. And I'll get a few clients. Like I said, it's not how many people you cut, because I've done my work. I've done hundreds of people in my life, thousands of people in my life. I already put my hours in. Now I'm here to earn. You know, I've learned, I'm earning, and what I'm doing right now is returning. I'm giving back for what I've learned. You get what I'm saying? So what I learned is, even though I'm cutting hair, I can cut 2 heads a day. That's $1,200. You know how long did it take me to get $1,200 charging $25? I gotta cut half of LA, pretty much, and don't have time for myself eating Taco Bell and nasty food. You get what I'm saying? I got time to go to Trader Joe's and meal prep my food and take care of myself and go on a walk, go on a hike. I got time for myself now, so I'm better living doing 2 cuts a day. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that is my gift, is to come out here and share my experience. And, you know, I'm still going to go up. 600 is not where I'm going to stop. I got enough clientele. Like, this is new for me to come out here and share my stories. I don't put none of my personal life on Instagram. Instagram is just fun for me. I'm glad it's paying me, but at the same time, it's fun for me. I didn't do it to be like, let me be a clout barber. At all. No, not at all. I love my own work. I spend hours at nighttime editing videos, bro. Y'all, I don't record none of that. I record the haircut. I edit the haircut. Sometimes I even put my own voice in it, a voice over it if I don't have a fire music to put on there. But everything I do is intentional. I move intentionally. You know what I'm saying? I get paid by a clipper company to post 4 times a month. That's once a week, and I already do that for free. Pay me racks. That's pay. I bought a, you know, that's my time.
So my thinking about it go is what you did with the money, which is exactly where I wanted it to go. So go ahead, we'll come back to you.
Okay. I made the most money I ever made during COVID because I didn't realize how much I was spending for booth rent. Working at Elegance, I was paying $2,500 a month. Bro, I did not know that I was spending that much money because eventually I was making that money. As a barber, I grew up in, like I said, I gambled when I was in college. I was a gambler. You know, we make the money so fast, it goes so fast. I know I'll go outside and get somebody else to make that money right back if I lose. You know what I'm saying? So I was just making so much money that I didn't know until COVID hit, and then I started feeling like, yo, why I got extra cash in this pocket? I pull out a wallet, I'm like, yo, I made this much money during COVID, and people were still coming. I already built my clientele base. They were paying $350 a haircut. I already built that up, and they were still paying it through COVID. I was just mind boggled. I said, you know what? I stacked so much. I bought a safe. I started putting the money in there. We ain't got nowhere to go. Ain't nobody went anywhere. I bought a $10,000 bike, a Trek bike, just to get an exercise because the gyms weren't open. I'm in Hollywood, riding on the freeway, just, you know what I'm saying? Just having a good life. So, long story short, I saved up all my money. I told my business director, I said, hey, I got all this money. I need to do something. Like, do I got good credit? She's like, you got no credit, but that's better than bad credit. And so I waited a year after COVID, and then I said, I need to buy a house. I bought $1 million house cutting hair in LA. I'm in LA. I don't put this on social media. I don't have a podcast to talk about my personal life, but this is why this is so important. It's for you guys to hear this and hear from me instead of anybody else. I got a 4-bedroom house. I built a barbershop in my backyard. I don't work for anybody but myself. I became an LLC. I created my own business. Taylorcutz LLC. This is real. The name is gonna live forever. I'm not. You know what I'm saying? So whatever you guys gotta do, make sure that what you are putting out there lives forever. If you're gonna be a fake person, everybody in here knows we can smell something fake. We can smell that you're lying through your teeth. I've seen it. I don't say nothing. I'll just like, sure, bud. You know what I'm saying? But we know the hard work people put in, and you know who you are. If you put in that work, you put in that work. I put in that work, and I don't have to show it on TikTok, social. I wish I didn't have TikTok, but it started paying me. I'm happy I got it. You know what I'm saying? So, I come to say that it's better for you to work hard and acknowledge the effort that you put in, and then share it with people. Share it with people. It's hard for me to just. It's hard for me to just put this on social media and just talk about myself on social media. I don't feel real because social media is fake. My content is real. It's not. I don't get. Okay, it's real because I take 45-minute videos and turn it into 1.5 minutes. So it feels like this is you do this so effortlessly. No, I sweat. I'm still working hard. This is not easy for me, no matter how long I've been cutting. Yes, the technique is still the technique, but people come there with bad hair, people come there with moles, people come there with dirty hair. You know what I'm saying? They just fresh out the airport, they come straight to me. And you gotta perform. You got some people come there with Drake's picture and say, yo, give me Drake's picture. Bro, you are bald. You gotta go to Platano Gucci for that. You know what I'm saying?
Shout out to Goofy in the back.
You know what I'm saying? So the things that I do is real, and I know sometimes when you have your first client, the first time they sit in your chair, you're not gonna give them the best work because it came from a different barber that messed them up, and some parts of the beard is growing, some parts of the hair that was pushed back is growing, and that's what we use enhancements. I don't use that, so I tell them maybe the next cut is gonna be the best cut. You know what I'm saying? Let it grow out, let it sit out for a little bit, come back to me, don't touch it. Don't use your clippers that you use at home, don't touch it. Just come back to me, I got you. You know what I'm saying? So the next cut is always the best cut. The first cut is just it's like visiting a place you've never been to, and then you go back the next time, you already network with people, you already know this, you know where you're going. So what I say is you guys just be yourself, man, and don't be afraid to charge. Don't be afraid to charge. I live in LA, so it's different. I don't do celebrities. I mean, I cut Kaepernick for 4 years before he got fired. You know what I mean? And after him, it just Bruno Mars. I cut Bruno Mars, and so many other celebrities that I don't remember. That I don't. Puff Daddy hit me up. Listen, that's not. No. I want to tell you. Listen. I always say, don't turn down a client. But I have to turn him down, and this is before the whole shit happened with him. Marcus is his barber. You guys don't know Marcus. You guys know MP. Shout out Marcus. He's a GOAT. You know what I'm saying? He called me, and it was his mom's birthday. He said, yo, I just left Diddy's house, and I gave him your number because he needed somebody in LA that could cut. A-Rod wasn't around. I think A-Rod was probably in El Paso somewhere. And he said, yo, he's going to call you tomorrow. He needs you to come cut a hair off his mustache that he had. Just one single hair off his mustache. I said, you guys to be shitting me. I worked this hard not to cut a mustache off. That's, to me, that's degrading. That's the word I can use. His assistant called me the next day and said, hey, yo, I need you to come pull up to the Estates at 7 o'clock. I didn't know why I picked up the phone call. I think I was almost nervous I was expecting something. So I picked up the phone call, and she was like, yeah, I need you to come to the Estates, and, he's missing a hair, he needs you to come cut it off. How do I charge for that? How do I charge? I'm not selling my soul. If you're calling me, I'm giving you a full cut. Don't call me for one stash that's missing, the one hair so I have to decline that. And I tell that story with a proud head up. Like, don't get degraded just because you want to prove a point. Don't do that. I'm gonna stop because I know everybody else got something. But that's what I want to say. Just know who you are, and don't be afraid to charge. If you do great work and your work got your back, bro, charge up. All right. Nobody should be charging the same price at all. Every one of you guys are talented. Each and every one of you guys has a different kind of talent that I don't have. If you guys were up here, I'll be like, man, I'm taking notes because this is something I don't have. You know what I'm saying? So charge up, and I'm not saying go ahead and charge $600 right away. That's not what I'm saying. But don't be afraid to scale up little by little, get up there to where you feel is comfortable in their cities and wherever you at. I'm in LA, so people got money out there. And I left, like I said, I cold turkey my hometown to come to LA just for work. I didn't come here to be famous. I'm not famous. I'm that quote that says popular nobody. I'm just a man that's on his purpose. I'm on my own solo journey. I don't have to be on a cloud. I'm not with a team. I flew here by myself, and I'm leaving tomorrow. I just landed 2 hours ago. You know what I'm saying? And I'm leaving tomorrow with no group, just by myself. So be your own journey. You don't have to have an entourage and be afraid to pull up to places. Just do it. This is your own story you're going to tell. You're going to be on a panel one day. Ray's going to look you up, and he's going to invite you. You guys don't get a panel, and I will be sitting there watching and taking notes. Be proud of yourself, yo.
And if you got a book, I'll buy it.
So, to kind of pick up the last thing that Taylor just said, Ray will look you up, and then Ray will say, Darren, we need him on the panel. And I'm like, all right, we can have him. And that's how it happens, in case you're curious. First and foremost, let's go ahead and give it up a round of applause for the panelists. So, we've been talking for the last 90 minutes or so, And I did promise you all that you would get a chance to ask questions. Look at our man right here. And so I think now is a good point to open it up for questions. I want to make sure all of you that have questions get a chance to ask the guys up here. So yeah, I'll come to you first.
Hold on, quick thing. You wanna say something, Peter? I know we ain't paying you nothing.
Come on,
I
hey.
know we ain't paying you nothing. You might have heard
Hey, do
something.
it for the love.
I would have to ask some questions and then I'll drop.
Okay, yo, put that other chair.
Go ahead, Frank.
I'll let my mind go a little deeper into this. I'll let him drop this bomb.
Okay, anybody else got a question? Anything?
Hey, don't be shy to ask questions. Listen, ask questions. We here for that.
I know this is a conversation we were actually having yesterday at one of the interviews, but how long did it take for you, all those, years, maybe months even, did it take for you to even escalate to that amount?
Did everybody hear the question? Or the answer?
How long did it take me to escalate to this amount of how much I charge?
Yes.
I was disappointed in myself. I had a lot of friends that were in the NFL. I had a lot of friends that were doing better than me, and we were in the same grade, same age. And I looked at them, and I was very disappointed in myself. And my parents were disappointed in me, and so it drove me in a different kind of direction that I never even thought that I would go. And I told myself, if I'm not professional in something, I gotta be professional at this. And I've always cut hair. I just never thought this is where I was gonna be. I knew I was gonna be good. I didn't know I was gonna be this good. You get what I'm saying? And I'm always surprising myself. Public speaking was one of the things that I took in college to speak publicly, just because I was in theater, and it became easy for me. So when Ray has told me he wants me to do this, I said, oh, it's gonna be a breeze. You know what I'm saying? And I knew that I didn't want to be the party guy. I don't party, I don't drink, I don't smoke. And seeing people fall off in barbershops where they fall asleep on haircuts, they smell like weed when they come in, and the fingers. I use gloves all the time just because I see sanitation is very, very, that's state board type shit. So I knew that I was bringing something that everybody else didn't have. I learned from everybody else, things that I'll see people not doing, like cleaning their clippers, cleaning their station, being very OCD. I'm OCD with my haircuts. So I just kind of like just ear hustle. I listen to what people talk about. They talk about other clients. They talk about religions and politics. I say, this is not what I'm gonna do. You know what I'm saying? Like, we are therapists to our clients. You know what I mean? Like, I've never really gotten a professional haircut. Never. I've always wanted one. I think the first time I tried to get a professional haircut was with A-Rod, and he put fiber on my beard, and I was mad. I'm not that guy. You know what I'm saying? Even if my beard was patchy at that moment, I'm gonna turn into a man soon. So just let me be. You know what I'm saying? But to answer that question, it took me. I mean, it's still going. I'm not gonna stop at 600. My goal is to be at 1,000 per cut. I want to cut one head per day. You know what I'm saying? One head per day. 7 days. I work 7 days a week because I work from home. And I have clients that call me randomly. My place is very secure, very private. And I offer just original conversation, original cuts, a hot towel. I don't pop people's pimples. I don't do face masks. I don't do none of that. I really don't. I don't like it. I'm not an esthetician. I'm a barber. I'm proud to say that now because my mom reps me as a barber. And just to see how happy she is, I've never been in jail, just to let y'all know, I've never been in jail. Yeah. Yeah, don't make me. I've never been in jail. That don't mean I'm a punk. It's just I stuck to the hustle of cutting hair. I love this so much. I created a barbershop in my backyard. Everybody else will build a pool. I can't swim. but I could cut.
That's crazy.
You talking $600 and you gotta spend $10,000 on a fucking bike, you could take your ass to get swimming lessons.
Not at all. Hey, one thing I do got is a hot tub. I'll be able to get there. I'll do this. I don't need a pool, man. I ain't got no kids too. I ain't got no kids, so that make my focus really, like I really focus every day on just. Everybody say you will change as a man. You become a better hustler when you have kids. I choose not to have kids. Not that I don't want kids. I just don't want it now. I want to have that passive income where I've created something for the world. While I'm sleeping, they're buying my stuff. You know what I'm saying? That's what I want. I don't want to have to leave my kid. If I'm traveling to do this stuff, I'm flying with my kid. I don't want to have to like be absent away from my child because my father was absent away from me, and I didn't like that. You know, I grew up with my mom, and you know, she was the alpha, even though my father was, you know, in the military, but he wasn't around as much, and I always told my dad to grow his hair out, but he never wanted to. Here, bro. You want to give me none? Okay, yeah, I'm done. Did I answer your question? No. Oh, I'm still growing. I'm still on with it.
Because like the younger generation of barbers, like they were saying yesterday, that they're charging like hundreds of dollars off like the beginning, but they don't have the experience to charge. The mentorship. So that's why I was asking, like, how long?
To answer it, to jump in on that, you said he's been cutting 30 years.
Yeah, we're in a different generation.
So, you know, some things now is accelerated, right? But to me, I think it's a 30-year journey, right? Some of you guys, young people, you want things fast. You want to, like you said, you want to charge $100 or whatever it is, $50, $60 when you start coming out, right? You know, so you guys if this is your career, something that you're doing long term, this is something that takes time. You're not even as good as you are when you're just starting out, right? From year 1 to year 5 to year 10, you learn so much, right? So everything that you do in life is a journey. When you're young, you're not planning for your future. You're not thinking that far ahead, right? So even with me, you know, things that I'm at right now, I feel like I did it 20 years ago. When I was 12 years old, I had a business license. I had my mom take me to get a business license at 12 years old. So I go door to door selling candy. You know, so those are the things that I learned at that time that still shaped me and that I learned with now, right? So I feel like I've been on this journey since I was 12 years old. I'm 42 now, so I've been being an entrepreneur and doing what I've been doing for 30 years. I just turned 42 last week.
Hey, what? Is this your birthday? Happy birthday, bro.
Appreciate it. But yeah, so I just think, you know, everybody in here, everybody's time is different. You know, like you said, you don't have no kids. So if anybody here don't have no kids, you can do a lot more than other people with kids, right? So, you know, that's what you said. Everybody's story is different. Everybody's barber journey is different. Your journey is never going to be the same as the person who's next to you. There's it's a 0% chance that your career will be the same as the next person next to you. So, thank you for answering my question.
Who got questions?
For the men that's out here that being stuck, being providers, doing every day, everything they can for their children, all that stuff. They put in all that time, they get so deep into providing. At one point in your career, in your life, you sit back, recollect all your accolades, and you actually give praise for the accolades that you reached that you want to the man that your children look up to. If you haven't done it yet, is there ever a point in your life you think you can get there?
So the first thing is very important about life. With verbiage, you said stuff provided, you get to provide. That's an opportunity. You know what I'm saying? That's a blessing that you get to. And well, yeah, that's a good question because you're gonna make me have this conversation. I still deal with the to this day. I struggle with like imposter syndrome really bad. where I don't feel that I'm deserving of it. But it's kind of like at times I feel like it's a gift and a curse. Because I feel that God, He allows me to remain humble and to never feel like the journey's ever done or the work's not done. But I'm grateful because I've surrounded myself with amazing people that remind me and they help me become aware of the things that I've accomplished. Like, bro, like being on stage, like I don't see what people see when they see me. It's like as human beings, when you look in the scariest thing in the world is to look at yourself in the mirror. Because no matter how you dress yourself up, no matter how many stories you may say about yourself and to yourself, it's always going to reveal the truth. And I don't think there's ever going to be a point in time where I'm going to be like, yo, like, I made it until my kids are parents. And then I can sit back and say, and see how they raise their children. Because now that, for me, that'll see my fruit. And I feel like my work still isn't done, and I don't really have the luxury to sit back and really do it too much. But the only way to really combat the imposter syndrome is to reflect. It's to reflect and to show gratitude. So like, I was talking to Plantano, he called me this morning mad early, and I usually don't answer the phone in the mornings because I try to practice being proactive instead of reactive to the world. You know, I make sure that I give my time to God and to myself first. And he called me and I was like, I gotta have my prayer. And in my prayer, the scripture that I've been really focusing on lately is James 5, verse 16. It's the fervent prayer of the righteous man availeth much. And God just really been dealing with me, and I just broke down and I cried. My morning was just me having my devotion and crying and just thanking God, because I had to sit back and reflect that God had to remind me. It was like, I sat you at tables that you never felt you deserved to be there. But you were supposed to be, and you had the capacity to be in every room that I placed you in. Where I was in Poland last week. I was in Poland. There was 9,000 people at this barber show. I was the only black person in there.
Wow.
And I sit and I think about it, and I take things sometimes for granted, but it's important for you to remember that it's a blessing to be able to provide. And you have to show yourself grace in order for you to grow in life. Because if a stranger said the things that we say to ourselves, we'd be ready to fight them. We'd be ready to fight them. You have to be your biggest fan, but you also have to sit back sometimes and just pause. My dad tells me, he said, man, you're running too hard. You're running too fast. You're not letting yourself breathe and sit back and look at where God has brought you. I got into a discussion with him this past week, and my pop said to me, he was like, you're chasing perfection. He said God never intended for you to be perfect. He just wanted you to let him love you. And he said when God makes a mistake or Nova makes a mistake, it doesn't make you love them any less. It makes you want to pull them closer to you. So when you have those moments where you're feeling overwhelmed and you're feeling that I don't get the praise, or I don't see the work that I've put in, or I'm not seeing the fruit, you have to remember, bro, that it's a blessing to be able to do what we do. And these Clippers have created opportunities for me that nobody on this earth could have done other than God. Well, I've been to Russia, I've been to Ireland, I've been to London, I've been to Belgium, I've been to Poland, and I'm teaching people how to cut hair. I'm teaching people how to cut hair. You're doing a good job. You're doing a good job. And sometimes, man, we need to hear that you're doing a good job and that you are enough. You are enough. You don't have to provide. You get to provide. And I'm still learning that. That's why I get emotional about it, because God is still dealing with me about it. And I'm still trying to learn how to show Corey grace, because when I look at Corey, I don't see what people see when they see me at these shows.
And I wanna touch on that because I know how personally, I know what he's been through, right? And you said a word that I've been using with my mom probably the last 3-4 months is grace. You know, we don't give ourselves enough grace, right? Especially people that, you know, I know how counts people that are providers that have to go to work every single day and do what they do. And sometimes you feel like that's not enough, right? Or your spouse, your partner, sometimes you make you feel like that's not enough, right? But I can tell you how there's times where I admire you as a father. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, always on your page or your Facebook and seeing what you do with your kids. Like you know, it's probably a different word, but I don't want to say envy, but you know, I would say admire. You know, because you do a lot more things with your kids than I do with mine. You know, and just that everyday, you know, role, right? And then the other thing you said, just as a provider, you know, like I said, I'm 42. You know, and I've just learned how to be a provider, and I'm still learning that, right? I didn't know how to do that. I wasn't raised to do that. I never seen nobody do that. Never had you know, my mother, mine's 4 boys, 3 different fathers. None of them were there, right? My father died when I was 5 years old. You know, that was just mom with 4 boys, right? So I've never seen anything else, or you know, knew what a provider was, knew how to be a man. And I'm learning all those things now at 42 years old. How old are you, Javi? You're doing so much, right? And that's why you gotta give yourself grace. And you help a lot of people, whether you see it or not. You know, and like you said, we just keep fighting. You know, we're warriors. We're going through stuff, so it ends up being a part of your DNA, and you don't know that you're kind of suffering. You're going through stuff because you built this thing to keep passing, keep going past the hardships, or go past these things that's happening. Um, you know, you really just have to deal with it. You know what I'm saying? Learn yourself, learn what you're doing. But how you know, you're doing an amazing job. Like you said, you know, we have to understand sometimes that we are doing a lot of, you know, amazing job. You know, we always have what we want to do and what we're trying to get to, and you know, that's a fight. But we are doing a good job. And I know your son sees what you're doing, you know, and your kids see what you're doing right now. They might not understand it. And same with my kids, you know, they see this stuff. I got 500 shirts that just came in last week. Make them all fold all of them. All of them. 3 days back to back from school, they came in and folded them, right? They're not gonna get it now, they'll get it later. Everything that we're doing now, they'll get it later, you know, so, everybody in here, give yourself grace. The person that you're with, give them grace, and know everybody just needs to hear, like, you know, you're doing a good job. I'm proud of you. You know, just sometimes, right? Because we're all fighting every single day. So, Javi, you're doing a great job, and I'm sure everybody in here, you guys are doing a great job. If you haven't heard it, you know, anytime. So,
Bro, I didn't even recognize that was your son back there with you.
it's everywhere, bro. Everywhere.
Bro, like, that's so powerful, bro. Like, our kids don't do what we tell them to do, we show them. And you're showing him how to show up for himself, bro. Subconsciously, he's not gonna understand this moment until he becomes a man one day. Bro, like,
He was selling shirts at the booth. He was literally the person at the booth selling them. I already done walked off good as there. He's sitting there talking to the women, going back to getting the shirts, and he's putting them in the bag and everything, bro.
bro, hey, little man, your pops is a good man. You hear me?
He's 12.
At the same age as my son.
I'm the oldest brother of 5 brothers. My middle brother is 24. He was married last year. I was 17. So I said, man, it's a good year for me to be cool, man. So this is like the first time I've been around and just taking to an expo, shaking hands, and learning the way. I thank y'all for saying all these words.
Bro, for real, like, hey man, hey, you're lucky. Don't you take it for granted. Don't take it for granted. I can show you my phone. I'm 37, but that's 59. I text him good morning every single day. My father's my best friend. You're gonna learn more from that man than anybody on this earth. When he does right, that's a tool for you. And you're gonna be able to see the things that he does wrong and learn how to perfect those when you become a father one day. You have a great example of what a man is. And you also have to understand, he's learning just like you. He's a human just like you are. He's not gonna be perfect all the time. But as long as he shows up, he's gonna get better. He's gonna get better. You're lucky, bro. And I did not know that that was your son sitting there. So I was zoned in on, I was locked in on you because of the question you asked me. It made me go internal. You know what I'm saying? But bro, like I love to see that, man. I love to see it, bro.
I may have received the DM while I was sitting here, from a lady, and she wants to know what advice you guys would give a woman in this industry. I have my own opinions on this, so I'm gonna try to keep that out as I ask this. So in our industry, we're seeing a lot of what we're calling booty barbers right now, which are cool. I love booty. That's fine. But for women who want to be in certain rooms, be at certain tables, do certain things in this industry, but don't want to have to show skin, don't want to have a camera on their booty, don't want to have a camera on their chest. Like, what advice would you guys give to them? If that's the competition, I guess, or if that's the standard, I don't know. But that's kind of the question I just got. Is what advice do y'all have?
Why does it matter?
Right.
You know, in a sense, and I'm saying in a sense of like, when you know what your value is and what you bring to the table, what anybody else does is irrelevant. There's gonna be booty barbers forever.
Thank you.
You know what I'm saying? It's just like there's gonna be certain barbers like you got like dudes like T-Pop. You know, his whole brand is built off of hate, but he pushes it to sell his products. You know what I'm saying? Everybody has a thing, just like Taylor was saying, it's like any publicity is good publicity, but I'll say this is like, what do you care more about? The integrity of who you are, or you getting the followers and the temporary exposure? Because I can give you an example. I know one of those booty barbers personally. We don't work with each other. And I used to tell her, I was like, bro, you gotta stop posting. And she was like, why? This is my body. I worked hard for it. I was like, I don't have no problem with that. I said, but people are associating you with just your ass. That's it. Not your skill set. It's just how you look. And what happened was she got pregnant. When she got pregnant, she lost 80% of her clientele. Because 80% of her clientele was trying to shoot their shot. And then once they saw that A, she had a man, and B, she was having a baby, she lost all of her clientele. She lost all of her clientele, and she had to start from ground zero. So just because it's hot right now, don't mean it's gonna be hot forever. Because that ass gonna drop sometime. Yeah. It ain't gonna be perked up like that forever. We all age. We all age. So what do you want to carry you? You want it to be your butt or your integrity and your character that speaks for you when you leave the room?
Why is it, you know, of course it's a question, but why does it matter? You know, right, like you said, is your chair spinning? Right, because that girl's ass doesn't affect you. Now, if you guys think it affects you at these shows, that's a different story. And if that's the case and you think a brand wants to see that, that's obviously the wrong brand for you, right? Because I see a lot of women in these shows that are covered up and doing what they're supposed to do. So if you're just paying attention to that, you're seeing that small portion of women that's doing that, and you're just seeing what they get on social media or things they get. It don't mean that.
I give you the biggest example. The hottest woman barber in the world wears the baggiest clothes. Bonexthegoat. She dressed like me. I ain't never seen her yams on the grams. Never. And you never will. You know why? Because she don't have to do that. Her skill set speaks for herself. Her consistency speaks for herself. Her integrity and her character speaks for herself. She don't have to do that. Look at Brandy, original Barbara slave. You would never see her dressed like that. She moves with elegance. She treats herself. She moves like a queen. When she walks into the room, you know she's there and she demands respect. Not because of how she looks, but because of the way that she carries herself. And but on the flip side of that, a lot of women do be hating on these booty barbers. That's why they complain about it. They throw a lot of shade. If you ain't happy with how you look, that's your fault.
There's space for all of us.
Pop their page. You can go and get in shape. You can even go get the BBL. That still doesn't have to be the main pushing point of your brand. So again, like I said at the beginning, it doesn't matter.
What is success if that's what defines it? You know, I have a female stylist that doesn't show anything like that, but her chair is spinning 7 days a week. She's probably the hardest worker in my shop, but she doesn't display anything. She could, but nobody looks at it like that. So, I mean, if that's what's going to define it, then you're just doing it for, like Ray said, the followers or the wrong brand or the wrong, yeah.
And then women, it's so much. It's like it's harder for y'all. I know my them. I know it's harder for y'all for women at the beginning of being a barber. But once you get the word out that you can cut, a man is gonna feel a lot more comfortable in a lot of cases getting these upcharged services done by a woman than it will be done by a man. A man, for me personally, I would much rather have a woman giving me a facial at the barbershop than a man doing it. Because we got rough ass hands and stuff like that. You know, when a woman just has the natural ability to connect with a man, they're sensual. You know, when you sit down in a chair, they make you feel comfortable. They make you feel secure. A lot more than a man could ever do that. And then they also give you a whole different perspective in conversation that a man cannot offer to you. And then for men, it is comforting for them to have a conversation with a woman on certain things. So you can take that as like I hear a lot of women, it's harder for us in the industry. It's harder for you in the industry. Because I know a lot of women that make a lot more money in the barbershop than men do. And it's because of they know how to connect with their male clients with never having to compromise that boundary that they've set in stone.
I don't have a question, I have a statement. This is my second time being amongst Anti Broke in person. I'm Beyonce of a barber, and I've known this man for 14 years. And I just want to say, I've seen his seasons, I know his story through and through, and just hearing your story. And I really appreciate this connection that he's grown with you all, because coming from our small town, and I always tell him, you know, be in the room with people that are going for what you want to go for. For like he charges the most in the barbershop, and I'm like, you need to be with the people that are charging more for their cuts, that know their worth. You know, so I just want to say that I appreciate this platform. I appreciate everyone in here for being with him and trying to push him to be more and do more, even though he's now coming to a point where he has to understand we can't push everyone to be where we want to go. We have to be with the people where we want to go. And I wrote down some notes that I know we're going to talk about on our ride back home.
That's a white friend.
That's a good part right there.
He's the one that's here.
Thank you.
He's the one that's here out of all those people.
Yes, he is. And I know he wants everyone to grow, but I have to keep telling him, you can't bring everyone. You have to be selfish. Like, barbering, that's him. That's his thing. He brings our son to the barbershop, and I'm like, record a video with him doing something, like enjoy this experience together, grow them. Like we have 5 kids, so he's working day in, day out.
Hey.
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out why he's back there quiet. It's like, hey man, I'm locked in. I ain't going nowhere.
You own the shop, right?
Yeah,
You own the shop, right?
yeah,
Oh, no?
No.
Oh,
yeah.
oh, okay. Well,
But
there's value in that, the team as well, wanting to bring everybody up, but you being alone, like, you're gaining the knowledge and the skills and the experience that other people are, so you're gonna be able to build a better team than other people are gonna be able to build, so there's value in doing what you're doing alone.
and like even like I tell Hobby, because he's went through similar things I went through just in owning shop. I've always tried to bring people along with every business I've ever started. Everybody's not built for that. Everybody's not built for you to do that. I got friends and brothers that are coming along 10 years, 15 years later on shit that I was pushing them on a long time ago. You have to just get out there and go do it. Some are gonna follow and some are not, right? But at the end of the day, everybody's not gonna be as hungry as you. There's one person that's that alpha that's gonna push and being that leader, and the rest is just gonna follow you and do sometimes the bare minimum or whatever, but you have to understand and appreciate those people for just being that part for you. You need just the regular Joe Smalls. You can't have 7 people all with you that just wanna go out and do the same thing and try to be the same thing. You need a leader, you need somebody to delegate stuff for you. You can't have everyone be like you, and everyone's not gonna be like you. I've learned that, I've been sad about it, begging people to do stuff and wanting to do stuff, but it's not gonna be that way.
Some of my barbers are at the casino right now. They're here.
Come on, man, we waiting on you now.
You've been so patient.
Called me last week too, trying to talk for about an hour.
My name is Frankie Fresh, originally from Chicago. Been following the ring for quite a while. Wanted to say, right now, what you're saying basically is you can't make people to do it, you can inspire them to do it. You have to be a father, much as I and everybody else is up here. Mother, basically, mother or single fathers or both. What I'm trying to say is you have to lead by example. One was talking about you when somebody found out that I was here too, because it's really hard and they home. I'm glad we had this conversation. To be honest with you, the reason and purpose for everything. I believe we're all here for a reason. I'm here because I had an injury for about over a year. It took me a while to reflect. Sit down and reflect. You guys, a lot of things from different perspectives, different angles. I took that in. I was like, you know what? I'm in the right place at the right time. There's a reason and a purpose for everything. Yes, we all go through seasons. We all have been going through all seasons. Guess what? Every time we grow, everybody's not going to be. There's seasons. Every person that comes in your life, guess what? So it's a lesson learned. You're gonna learn from them. You're gonna do something. You're gonna make something. We have to create this. We have to create this journey. It's a long-term journey growth. Just keep growing. Just keep evolving. And I'm glad I'm here today with you guys. And top of that, top of the cherry. Sitting up front. I follow you guys. I actually respect you guys, and you all be right mentors. Somebody to lead us the right way. At times, guess what? Our lessons of life that we've been fall, go to jail, whatever the situation is, sometimes we have to go time out to sit down.
And you said, being in the right place, right time. You called me last week just talking about, personal things, and I feel like you being here, answer some things, gave you clarity on some things, right? But, when we use the word up here, seasons the most, right? There's 4 seasons. Okay. So there's gonna be the winter, the fall, but spring is gonna come. Whatever was dead, whatever, spring is coming, the flowers and stuff is gonna grow again. And then the sun's gonna come out in the summer, right? So we just have to push through those seasons and know that no one here is ever gonna be able to escape the seasons. Because the seasons come in different forms. You know, whether, like you said, the time where you ain't got clientele the way you want to be, it's not going the way it's supposed to be. You know, you might have had a family, you know, a death in the family. You know what I'm saying? You might have got a divorce. You might be having issues with, you know, your wife, your husband, your boyfriend, your girlfriend. So you're gonna always have different seasons until we're all in a casket. And it's just learning how to navigate those seasons. And like I said earlier, just having the right people around you to navigate those seasons is the most important thing, right?
I just personally think that being here today where everybody else has decided to be here today, you're gonna guide on something like one said, running a marathon. Sometimes slow down. Sometimes things happen to reflect. That's what I was talking about. Reflecting. Those were two people on there that made me think that down. Everything they're saying made me reflect what I did this whole year. I haven't worked in the shop for a whole year. It took me to sit down to relax, not only just on my physical, but on my mental, and then also like you talked about the room and type of different type of people that want to ride or Chrysler, some that want to ride the import cars. Somebody, I mean, there's levels to everything. So I had to sit down and figure things out and look things from a different perspective. That I had a time out of the shop and maybe try to rearrange a couple of things in my life. But I mean, here, I guess, whatever you guys explore, there's a lot of people in here that they're going to go back and they go back to the drawing board and reflect. Instead of running this path, they're going to slow down. They're going to keep this up today, marinating on it. And you know what? We have to regroup or go back into the drawing board and figure things out. And it's better to have people like you to lay it down for a better sense of direction. Slow down a little bit. That bonus. You have to reflect, but also bringing that into this. I was at for him. I don't know what I'll be today. He's better than you, Barbers 18 years ago. So I'm actually glad that the people came across my path, including Master Dia. He's one of the guys that I followed so long. To this day, he's still a brother to me, and my mentor as much as you guys also. So thank you.
And that's why it's called elevated conversations. You know, and we spoke about this on our call last week. We didn't want to have conversations about who's charging what and, you know, what they're talking about in the industry right now, this barber versus that barber. You know, like, we wanted to get into a different conversation that's going to really help people. You know what I'm saying? Like, long as if somebody on the stage says one thing that somebody here needs to hear, the job is done.
Yep.
Right? Even with you know, people come around. Like, if we do something for you, you learn one thing, that's fine with me. You don't have to stay around or this and that. If you came for your period of time and what you learned and what you needed, and we helped give you that, or we gave you that, or helped you realize something that you did or didn't want to do, we've done our job, you know, and that's why I kind of picked these guys. You know, obviously sometimes based on the event or where we at in the city. But I'm always gonna pick guys that I know personally, that I meet, that can help you guys out, you know, and give you, you know, some type of insight, to help you guys be better or navigate certain things. You know, Bones calls me, you know, all the time. It's funny, because he's 3 hours ahead of me, so he acting like he not up early, but he calling me and it's 5 a.m. where I'm at. You know, so I'll let him know. I keep calling. Bones calling, so I, you know, I won't call back. But just me not even being a barber, I've said this, probably not publicly, but you know, to my friends and stuff. You know, the saying like barber saved my life, right? You know, for me, probably it's like barber saved my family. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, it's taught me so much stuff. It's helped me to, you know, help my family in a lot of different ways, and my extended family, you know, friends that I have, you know, their family, their friends. So this is deeper than me, you know what I'm saying? It's to help others and help their family and whatever they have going on. So I want to say I appreciate you guys for being up here. I love everything about you guys' story, and man, I appreciate you guys. And definitely the Cut as well. The Cut has been our partner for about 3 years now, right? And, you know, it's been amazing. It's funny because I talked to Books. He came up to me today and was trying to talk to me. So small story short, I was like, man, you guys don't have enough money to pay me with, I'm already getting. So, but I thank you guys for, helping us put this together, aid and everything that we have going on. I know we need to get kind of the photo shoot and get this back live and Bill, did you want to say something real fast?
Sure did.
This is like church, so you want to close out, close this out with a prayer. We want 10 minutes, y'all. Y'all good?
All right, so y'all can exit, We need to teach y'all.
Oh, yeah. All right, I'm in the crowd.
Yeah, they get ready, y'all get ready here and take some notes.
We get all?
Yep, everybody. I can hear what information that you guys are. And right, you look like that. So but first of all, I want to say thank all of the barbers that were on the panel today. I want to thank the cut that I'm unfamiliar with, but I appreciate what you guys are doing for the industry. But I have to say, I pray for the barbers today. I pray for your patience. I pray for your understanding. Because we're going in a place that we're turning around. But we're not going up, but we're going down. When I was coming up, barbers are 70, 65 years old. There was no young barbers. When I was growing up, there was professionalism across the board. When I was growing up, mentorship meant there were your elders. It wasn't a mentor, they just were your elders. When I was growing up, barbers were off on Monday. They cleaned their shops. They cleaned their uniforms. They were off on Sunday. They spent with their families. When I was growing up, education meant something. Doesn't mean that. When I was growing up, most of the people had something, but they didn't have everything, but they had community. I don't like what I'm seeing. Because the barbers today are individuals, renegades. You ain't got to tell me I have to do what I want to do. You don't know. I hear it all the time. But when I was growing up, it was family. Brothers didn't have a father. That barber was their dad. When kids didn't have shoes, the barber paid for it. When kids couldn't afford a bike, the barber paid for it. We lost that sense of community. We're doing our own thing. We live in a society today that everything is about money. But money's not going to buy you peace. I for sure am one of the top 1% of the highest paid barbers in the world. And I don't do half the work y'all do. I don't do a quarter of the work y'all do. I don't do a small percent of the work y'all do. But what I can tell you is having a lot of money and having homes and having nice cars. But when the lights cut off, I'm sad, hurt, broken, because you know what you see. And there ain't no peace inside. I pray for the barbers that have mental health issues because they're not popping on Instagram.
their haircuts ain't as fly as Taylor's. I pray for the barbers who talk so bad to barbers who's trying to do their best. Who gave them some clippers? They should have never had no damn clippers. Because your mouths and your hearts are broken. This barber industry brings billions and billions of dollars in this industry. But yet and still, the barbers don't have health insurance. They don't have life insurance. They're not homeowners, but quick to buy a challenger. Why don't you challenge yourself to save some money? Why don't you challenge yourself to be a homeowner? Why don't you challenge yourself to be a person of integrity? Because we used to roam when we were in exotics. We were one big happy family. This is the reason why all y'all here. Because one group created barber battles. There's an old saying that says, when you think life has robbed you, it's always an inside job. You guys will become slaves to that chair, no matter how good you are, if you don't know how to cut it off. And once you get a taste of that money, you're not going to stop. Once you get a taste of that money, you're going to leave your kids behind. And in your mind, you're going to say, I'm doing it for my kids. Are you really? Because they're going to grow up without you. You're going to be great providers. They're going to have the iPods and the fly shoes. They're going to have a nice house, but they don't have you. And I'm going to tell you, at the age that I am, and all of the things that I've done for this industry, and I know for a fact that I gave up a family and I gave up children because I never had them, because I was all about trying to elevate this industry and to see where it is today. I pray for you all. Because you guys are some of the best barbers I've ever seen in my life, and I don't understand for the life of me how y'all can end up being broke. You make more money than I ever made when I was your age, but you broke. You don't even understand how much money you really make. If you're charging $40 and you can do 2 hands, that's $80 an hour. And you're gonna tell me from Saturday to Tuesday is your only time that you got that window because you gotta be back at work on Tuesday because you done spent all your money? I talk to barbers all the time and I say, listen, when the last time you took some time off? You mean a vacation? No, I said some time off. Oh, I didn't get that. No, I can't leave the barbershop. Don't you know that glass that you're watching every single day that life is passing you by, and you standing behind the glass while cars are passing by? I watched Bones go through it. I seen him talking to his kid this morning and said, why are you crying? But he was here. You know how hurtful that is to watch these brothers work and fly and travel everywhere they're going and then have to say, damn, I wish I was with my kids. I pray for you. Yes, it's a lot of money in this industry. Yes, you can do a lot of things. But I ask you, can you become family again? Can you understand the power of what family is? Can you be willing to build strong relationships with your clients instead of making so much transactional? I ain't doing that for no 50. I ain't doing that for no $100. Why would I do that? And then you